3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Welcome to the Remote Photography Podcast. In this episode, I'll speak with model, photographer and studio owner Xenia about her remote photography experiences. Enjoy the podcast. Hi Xenia, thanks for doing the podcast. If people don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, hello, good morning. Basically, we've met with John just through remote shoot that we did at Neon Dreams. So I'm a model and I also do a bunch of different things because I think that's what being creative is like. You just kind of put your fingers into all the pies.
As you said, you're a model, but you're also a studio owner and a photographer in your own right. So it kind of gives you a unique perspective on what we're going to discuss today, remote photography. But first, we'll talk to you about as a model.
I've been modeling for about 12 years now. It makes me feel really old, but this is what I've started doing when I was around 17, and mainly I'm interested in fashion. I love modeling for beauty style images and portraits. If I had to choose my favorite, that'd probably be the styles that I'm most interested in. And I'm based in Sheffield, but that wasn't always the case. I lived in York for about 6 years, and that's where it all kind of kicked off. And then I moved to Oxford and I was there for a year, and I did my second degree there. And then I realised that I just love Yorkshire and I needed to move back up. So I looked at the map and I was thinking, well, York and Oxford, what's in between? Sheffield. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So that's how I ended up in Sheffield. I think when I first moved into Sheffield, I was really looking forward to meeting new people and new creatives and, discovering the studios in the area, because I've not particularly been many times before then, maybe once or twice for a shoot. Then obviously we went into lockdown very shortly after I've moved here. So it feels like I've not been here as long as I actually have. But then I soon realised that there isn't many studios in the area, particular photography type that I like to do. And I found myself often travelling out to Manchester or Leeds or York for the photo shoots. And we were just having a very long chat with my partner one day. And we were walking around Peak District. That's when we went into second lockdown. And I just said to him, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if I could have my own studio in Sheffield and I didn't have to go anywhere, and it could be completely on my terms, could be just perfect for what I want to do. And he was like, yeah, that would be amazing. And that's how the idea was born. And I kind of was looking for spaces to hire, even just, a studio for my own modelling. I'm not talking about photography by my side, like that didn't exist back then. I was just thinking it'd be good to have my studio where I can model and other people would come in. And I did consider doing something like this when I first moved into Sheffield, but I literally couldn't find any space. It's either, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Sheffield, but it's a very industrial city. Loads of buildings on outskirts of Sheffield. They're like factories and pewterware, silverware, cutlery works. So I was thinking, oh, perfect. So I can get like a big kind of factory place to rent. And that wasn't the case because now it's called Kelham Island, the area, and it's really hipstery place with loads of bars and night venues, and it's quite expensive. If you want anything kind of in a cool location of the factory kind, it's just kind of extortionate. It's not even in the city centre, well, for Sheffield prices anyway.
So what was your first encounter with remote photo shoots? Have you done many, or have you only done a handful so far?
I've literally only done a handful. I can probably count them all. It's 4 at the minute. So the first one I did was in the first lockdown, and I think that's when everyone showed interest in doing the remote shoots because there was actual demand for them. Obviously, people couldn't go out and they couldn't socialise, and they still wanted that element of creativity. So I think remote shoots are great for offering that. And that was at the time I didn't have my camera. So I used my phone over the Zoom to capture the pictures, for photography to capture the pictures. And to be fair, the first Zoom shoot I did was really, really good. I was very lucky with the photographer. It's someone I wanted to work with forever, but they're just always busy and I couldn't get hold of them. And it meant that we had to travel to each other. So it basically was perfect timing for us to work together. So
because no one had anything to do.
Because literally everything, all the plans just got cancelled. The world just was put on hold. So yeah, that was the first one that I did. And that, it was literally me in my flat, in front of the bay window, all natural light, and photographer was great. And from what I understand, he's done loads of remote shoots with models with just a phone on the other end, so he knew exactly what he was doing, and he was really great at directing me in terms of where to place my phone. And he asked me to show the room around so you could see like the best spot for lighting. I thought that was great. So yeah, he was a real pro at that. And I thought, okay, I can maybe do a few more of these. And then I did the second one, and that was with a photographer who I think not done many of remote shoots before, and just really wanted the social aspect of shoots.
For the mental health and stuff,
It was great because I think we all needed to talk to someone.
Exactly.
I felt like in that second instance, it was a lot more hard work for me, unfortunately, for very little result, because I had to do the set and I had to do, obviously, getting ready, makeup, styling, that already is always on model's behalf. But here I felt like I need to do the photographer's job as well. And I did enjoy it because I didn't have much to do. But I would say that probably what made me think, oh, maybe remote shoots aren't exactly for me. And I'd just rather call someone and chat to them. So that was probably kind of a point where I've decided I'm gonna start saying no to shoots, especially if it's just on my phone, just because it's not the quality I want. I could take selfies probably just as effectively as having someone on the other side, if you know what I mean, and then it's just fully my picture rather than someone else took them and someone else edited them. So that's how I viewed it back then. Then I've come across a photographer, and he based in Cornwall. Well, actually, he came across me. And that was the third shoot I've done. And he is also incredible. And I loved his ideas. He distorts the images. And literally, when you look at his profile, it was all very artistic, distorted pictures. But obviously, I'm just looking at Instagram page at this point, and I don't know how he's shooting them. He was like, oh, I'd like to do a Zoom shoot with you. And he explained how it works. And when we got to shooting, he shoots through a lot of glass objects. So it could be
so he gets the distortion from the reflections and stuff.
He literally just puts something in front of the lens, and then he edits them in this kind of grainy, very grungy style. And I absolutely love what he is able to achieve from the screen. And that was another shoot that I was like, I think at that point I'm thinking, as long as it's someone who knows what they're doing and have done this before over remote, and as long as there's rough idea or concept, I know that the remote shoot will then be worth it rather than just shooting for no reason a girl who sat in front of her window at home. So that was probably all I've done until obviously I've met you. And I shot remote with you at Neon Dream Studio, and I had another photographer as well on the day after, also for a remote shoot. And this was a completely different environment. Obviously, we're in the studio at this point. Natasha is on hand, so it's so useful to have someone else there so they can take care of the lighting and setting up. So that's already less work for me to do. I'm just concentrating on modeling like I usually would. And the shots that we got were amazing. I mean, it's not just down to Natasha, it's also down to you providing the mood boards and, you know, you came with ideas. And the second shoot also was great, because I think Natasha just knows what he's doing, what she's doing, and she set everything up. So again, that element of me worrying about setting up and having to do the lighting, do everything, that was gone. I just concentrated on modeling. So my experience at her studio again was very different. So literally every remote shoot is like something new. It depends what it is, who it's with, depends
the environment you're doing.
What lighting you're using, if there's any ideas, concepts. So completely different results this time, because with you that was the first time I've shot over remote, but on the camera. Whereas before it was just on phone. So I'm well pleased. This is my experience of it.
Because when I was talking to Natasha, and like I think we were saying, oh, where's Xenia? And you kind of hear a voice off camera, and then Natasha just moves the camera, and she's like, you're just kind of standing there, just you were ready when you went hi, and it was like, oh, I see. Xenia's like this. She's like full of energy, and she's ready to go. And even in between shots, you were kind of doing you weren't taking yourself seriously, which I love. It's like,
oh no, that's not me.
If a model's doing that, it means she's relaxed, she's happy, she could be herself, which I find comes across in the images more. That if you're, like you say, you're relaxed, you didn't have to think about the lighting, the stuff. You were focusing on the model aspect rather than everything else you had to do, like you had in some of the other remotes.
Yeah, no, it was very fun. And to be fair, I was at Neon Dreams for 2 days, and you were my first one out of both days, and I had already such a good time. Even on the very first one, because sometimes it like takes time to do. I've never been to the studio before. I've never shot with you. I've never met Natasha. So there's like loads of
firsts,
factors there. Loads of firsts in there. So it could have been different, but no, I felt so relaxed, and it's thanks to you and Natasha. And to be fair, at the beginning I wasn't hiding. I was just letting you discuss your thing, and I didn't want to.
No. I just like the way you got introduced. It was like Natasha just moving the camera, and you're just off camera, and you just went hi. And it was like,
good.
I think I've got a good sense of people, like when the first impression, and I could just tell when you went hi, and it was like, yeah, she's not going to take herself too seriously, because like you're ready in the suit, you're like ready to go. It was like, okay, I can see. And I think I even said it during the shoot. Sometimes because you've seen it, the remote, the live view won't refresh as quick for the photographer than it does to the people in the studio. There was a few times, I think in our first 20 shots, where by the time I saw the image from the previous shot, you had been like already in the other pose for 2 seconds, and I was going like, yeah, you might have to slow down a little bit, because it's taken me like a second to see the image just to make sure.
Yeah.
But no, then you were like, oh, okay, and it was like, okay, she knows what she's doing. So, and like I said, that when we did that first-hand little review of the first 20 or so images, I was like looking, I was going, okay, we're 10 minutes in. We got like, I was saying like we got 19 out of 20 images, because I think one of the camera had missed focus or something. But
oh god, yeah, that was a good time. And to be fair, because I'm shooting in person pretty much all the time, someone takes a shot and I instantly move to another pose. So I guess I didn't allow for internet to catch up with me.
But like you said, it was a first. So I presumed after that first 20, you went, okay, I've just got to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, I slowed myself down.
That was your handful of remotes. You've kind of touched on it, talking about in person and remotes. Is like, what did you sense the difference was? Was it there was more of it was a slower pace, or was there more restrictions? Because obviously the camera's on a tripod. It's not necessarily someone's holding the camera for the photographer so it can move around easily. Did you find that was refreshing, or did you find, okay, these are restrictions, so I've kind of got to adapt to them?
Yeah, I honestly felt restricted. Not in every remote shoot I've done, because obviously there were different photographers I worked with more or less experience. But yeah, I felt restricted, and I also really love just chatting to people, and I love that human interaction. And I felt like with some of the remote shoots I've done. Maybe people, because they're not so confident. I didn't get that energy through the phone. It's just not the same. But I never had that with you, because as far as I know, you do a lot of them. So your energy is still coming across like very high. And I think that's what I was lacking, because I do this job not only because I love modeling, I also love people. Imagine doing this job if you like hated people.
It would come across in the images, it would be like, no, that's my fashion face, and it's like just your resting face, and it's like, come on, let's get this finished,
it just wouldn't work. So I guess I was not just feeling restricted, but also felt like I was missing that like human interaction, and you know, I do love a bit of a laugh and
everyone does,
here and there, and I feel like it's all kind of it's more restricting for me, more work, and then I'm missing on the fun part. So that's when I was like, maybe not for me.
So how do you adapt to not having the photographer there in the studio with you, just being on the, say, a computer screen? And I think as well, it was like you seeing yourself on a computer screen, did that throw you off a little?
No, I don't think that threw me off.
No.
I was kind of trying to concentrate more on where I am in the frame.
Yeah.
That's what I think I needed to remember to do. Because obviously, if you're shooting with someone in person, they move the camera and follow you around, and I move around loads.
Yeah.
Like, I don't stay in the same spot. But
I can testify to that,
but obviously then I was like, I don't want to just look at the screen, so I don't want to look just at the lens, so the pictures are facing forward. I want to look to the side, look up, look down.
Exactly.
And then I'm like forgetting that maybe I'm like shifting away from the frame. So that was one of the things. But then having a photographer on the screen, that wasn't a problem at all.
Yeah.
I think it's good to see who is there. It would have been weird if it's just like
a voice,
and the camera just clicking away. That's another actually of my restrictions. But like I said, that was the first one I've ever done in a studio with a camera. It was the one with you. So that was slightly different than just portraits in front of your phone. Like I'm much closer to the camera, so it's less likely that I'll like go out the frame. Especially when doing a full body with you.
Yeah.
It's like my legs are going everywhere.
There's that shot of you in the suit, and your leg, one leg went up, right up in the air, and another one went at like a 90-degree angle, and I'm like, okay, but that's just you.
Myself as a noodle sometimes.
That's you just being posing. It's like, okay, so we just have to. To be fair, I love it when models just change poses and stuff, and I have to do like just say, you're quite not in the frame, and adjust a little bit, because that's you in a flow. And it's like I think if a model's in the flow doing poses, that's when you're going to get the best results, because it's not stagnant. It's not like stop, take a shot, stop, take a shot. If the model's like, here's the shot and moves on to the next pose, it's because you feel, okay, I'm flowing into this pose. And like we said when we did the reviews, there was like a few in there every time. There was like, oh, that's kind of cool. This is cool. Because you just let a model go in the flow, be it in person or remote, and you're going to get a series of good shots.
No, that's true. I was literally thinking when I'm going out the frame, I was like, oh, that's so unprofessional of me. I need to stick to the picture.
Yeah, but it's the job of the photographer to tell you or move. But because I think I saw it, you were like looking, and then you were kind of, oh, hold on, I've gone a little bit. But because everything's reversed for you, you would go one way and then realise you'd overcompensated and gone the wrong way. And like,
oh, that must have been an entertaining session. I'm glad you managed to get some good shots out of me.
But I'm glad you didn't tell me that was your first ever remote at that studio. And it was like, if I'd known that, I would have been sweating, because it would be like, oh, pressure.
Why?
I don't know. I'm one of those photographers, even though I've been told sometimes I leave the lens cap on, but that's another story for another time.
Classic.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. It's like I always get anxious before shoot, because I think it's because I cared for the results. That's what it is. And be it in person or remote, it's like, okay, kind of got an idea what I want to get. If I tend to work with models that I know are going to give you good results. And like I'd seen your stuff on your Instagram and the stuff, and it was like, oh, Xenia's gonna knock it out of the park. And like I said, the first 20 shots you did, I was like, yeah, we're gonna get good shots. So, and like you say, you're focusing on the modeling, Natasha's doing all the stuff behind the scenes. So again, it's letting you be you, and that's going to come across in the images.
No, it's great. I'm glad you didn't know then that I've not done
Yeah.
a remote
I
shoot.
don't like when people tell me, "Oh, this is my first one." It's like, oh, okay, thanks.
But I think it depends also, like, where you are with modelling and confidence. Because I've lost all the care for what everybody else thinks about me.
Yeah.
I'm just being me in this point of life. So I feel like, because I'm confident, I think the results will hopefully show that as well.
Yeah.
That I'm not just thinking, oh, I only have this side of my face that is good, and I'll just stick to that side, and I know that's the only way he'll get good photographs. No, I'm like moving everywhere because I know if there's anything that doesn't work, you're not going to use it.
So with the handful of remotes you've done, you said your experiences, you found that a lot of people are, like, say, taking their time to get a lot of the images and positions done in camera, but you may sometimes still get that thing where it's called spray and pray. But have you encountered that in remotes as well, or in person as well?
I think my answer would be there are pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
So obviously you can't really shoot as fast because you need to allow the time for the internet loading and software catching up in remote shoots. But then at the same time, you see the picture on the screen straight away because it's like being tethered without actually being tethered. It's just that. So I feel like from there you can correct straight away and then maybe improve on the previous picture. Whereas with in-person shoots, you can shoot faster. Yeah, you can maybe move a bit more freer. That's the pro. But the con is that you may be doing it a bit more blindfolded almost because as a model, because not everyone shoots tethered. And sometimes I just don't know what I'm getting until I request to see back of the camera or until I've shown the back of the camera. In that regard, I think it depends really how you look at it, because I think you can work it out in whatever circumstances you are. Slower doesn't mean that you'll get worse results unless you're doing ballet jumps, but I guess that doesn't apply to a fashion and portraiture photography.
Right, so let's move on. Obviously, you're a studio owner now. What's the name of the studio?
Zavod Studio.
Okay, and how did you come up with that name?
Where I'm based now is Pewter Factory, and it's in the city centre of Sheffield. And it's still a working factory. Like, the stuff is still going strong in there. Since I'm Russian, I wanted to kind of show my Russian heritage, and I wanted to be different from other studios. So Zavod basically means factory, but in Russian.
Ah, because it's a memorable name, because everyone goes, "Oh, have you been to Zavod?" And it kind of sticks in your brain. Yeah.
Well, your girl's done a marketing degree and management. Yeah, I've got masters.
There you go. You haven't gone blindly into owning the studio. You've got, like, I know how to do this.
Yeah, hopefully it's working. So, yeah, I needed a name that was memorable, because there are a lot of photography studios around the UK that got very similar names that are less memorable.
Yeah.
And I wanted to stand out. And also, it's quite a simple 5-letter word for a Russian word.
Yeah, and it's easy to remember, Also.
And then it starts with Z, and my friends call me Zen, so short for Xenia, Zen. And I was like, oh, it's also starting with Z, I quite like it. Yeah, I had a few ideas for the name, but when this one came on, I was like, that's it. I'm stopping thinking, stopping searching.
Done, yeah. So as a studio owner, you said you got the studio during, what was it, when we went into a series of lockdowns, or when it became okay to kind of do shoots professionally?
So I was still looking for a studio even in that period before the lockdowns. I don't know if you remember, it was kind of eat out, help out summer. That's how I refer to it. So I was looking already then, and I didn't think that we'll go in another lockdown, but we did. And I opened the studio because I was ready to go. I risked it, and I opened the studio just after the second lockdown ended. And I started kind of moving my stuff in and getting some pictures together ready for the launch in August 2021. So I had a studio before then, but my official opening day was in August, which is like 2 weeks away. I'll be
I
2 years
was going to
old.
say,
My
yeah,
studio's gonna be
when,
2 years
I
old.
was going to say, as we were recording this, I was looking up at, and it was like the 3rd of August, and when you said
Yeah,
I was 2 weeks away, it's like, oh, 2 years already. So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be
yeah,
2 years soon. So yeah, it all kind of then took from there. And
mm,
at first, when I moved into that building where I am now,
mm,
I was in a very small room because
yeah,
I needed to test the water, see if business model's going to work, if I
hmm,
need to change anything, or just to make sure that I've got it all together.
yeah,
And at first, there was literally basically me modeling there, and people would come over,
yeah,
how I thought of it. And then I started doing studio hire, very cheap, just
mm,
to get some people in and
mm,
get some pictures of the studio and start getting people to share things.
mhm,
And then when it kind of proved itself for working well, there was another room in the same building that became available. There
mhm,
was twice the size. It's still quite small, but it is like a significant difference from
yeah,
being a little room to like twice the size, kind of normal size studio.
mhm.
So then I took that on board. So I'm in the bigger one now, but that's the biggest one that's in that building. I do really, really want even bigger studio than that. You just
Yeah,
never have
you want to
enough space.
grow, you want to keep growing, yeah.
You just never have enough space. But then I love that building so much and what it's got to offer in communal areas.
Hmm.
I think I will miss that element
Yeah,
if I move out of there because I won't have that access to this
yeah,
historical factory part. So for now, I'm there,
hmm.
seeing how things are going, and I've not really even looked to moving anywhere else.
Mm.
I just love that building.
So, as a studio owner and with the lockdowns and stuff, did you think, oh, this you knew about remote shoots? Did you think, is this something that I could offer at the studio? Was there a good infrastructure, say the Wi-Fi and stuff, or did you think, oh, okay, I'm gonna hold back and just see what happens, and maybe we can get back to doing in-person shoots?
So my studio didn't exist before and during lockdown. So I
Yeah,
guess that made my decision for me because
yeah,
at that
yeah,
point I didn't think the remote shoots were for me. And I didn't have my camera that I have now.
hmm,
So I feel like for that I didn't really plunge into the world of remote
yeah,
shoots because I wasn't as keen.
yeah,
And again, by that point, I didn't have any lighting equipment.
hmm,
So it would be just over the phone on the Zoom,
yeah,
which, in my experience at that time, probably wasn't the most interesting
hmm,
shoots I've ever done. But maybe I would consider it in the future
yeah,
when I do have all the software that you need and
yeah,
when I'm just a bit more confident,
hmm,
in providing the right service. Because
yeah,
I don't want to just do it for the sake of it
yeah,
and
yeah.
then people actually not get great results. I'm not anywhere near as good as Natasha at this kind of stuff. I can
Oh,
tell
yeah.
that she's done so many and she's just like swimming through it. That's definitely her thing. I would probably not rush into doing
But it's something
any.
you might do in the future that, say, like you've got modeling days or something where you might go, oh, okay, a photographer maybe can't get to the studio for health reasons or lives in a different time zone. You might go, oh, okay, I might open a few remote slots to help fill up the day, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. I'm open to it, but I
Yeah,
need to get everything in place and
and
test
test it
it
out. Exactly.
before I agree to
Yeah,
charge people. I think that's unfair, but I'm definitely more opposed to it now
yeah,
than I was before I shot with you.
yeah,
But that's all like thanks to a great team.
yeah,
Obviously, it's not always going to be like this, so you
exactly.
have
Yeah,
to prepare
it's the
for.
same with in-person shoots. It's not always going to be a
Yeah,
great team or
exactly.
result, but yeah. So now we're all back to doing in-person shoots, and you've done a few remote shoots. Would you still consider doing remote shoots? To say, like, you went back to Neon Dreams again, and Natasha said, we were so successful last time. Do you want to do some remote shoots again? Would you still consider doing that, or are you more back to doing in-person shoots full time now?
My answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah.
At Natasha's, I'd do as many remote shoots as she wants me to because
Mm,
it's having that extra person who is available not to only help, but also very experienced in this. So I feel very safe and comfortable in her hands, and I can just focus on modeling. Maybe with other studios and other remote shoots, I'd still think twice and ask for concepts and ideas and examples of the previous work produced during remote shoots. So that would be still something I'd think of. But Natasha's got me full on. She can do whatever she wants with me whenever she wants me back. I'll do any shoot.
Yeah, she'll start putting you in unicorn outfits or something like that.
Oh my God, I'm up for that. We did like a disco ball helmet last time, and I
saw that, and you just put that up on your Instagram recently.
Yeah, I put it yesterday, finding it. I was like, please, anything. I was like, I love crazy style and insane ideas, and she's got so many amazing pieces to wear, and I was like, please, I'm all yours. Literally dress me up. I'll just be a unicorn. I'll be anything. Please. And she just got this kind of onesie out, and it's like a robot thing, and then she put this disco ball helmet, and I was living my best life. I was like, this is the outfit I was waiting for.
It's like a little reel. So if you look on Xenia's Instagram, you'll see what she's talking about, and then you can watch it and see how crazy she gets.
Oh, thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, just doing a little posing sequence. Because we shot with her right at the end of 2-day studio day. We did some extra time. So by this point, it was like, how many shoots I've done? Like 17-hour shoots and 48-hour time slot. So it was a lot, but I still loved it so much.
Yeah, it's when you're enjoying yourself, you don't realise the time's gone. It's when you get home and suddenly collapse and sleep for 2 days, then you realise you were tired.
Oh, I had a shoot day after that as well.
That was going to be...
Yeah, I didn't travel all the way back home. I went and stayed near London, and then I had a shoot on the way back to Sheffield, and I didn't get back home till maybe 10 in the evening. Yeah, and then I was knackered, and I was like, now it's enough.
Now I'm taking a few days off,
It wasn't a few days off.
It was like a week.
No, it was half day.
A half day?
Yeah, I went to the studio because I had a studio hire.
Oh, of course, yeah. So it's not like the modelling's done, I can take time off. It's like, now I have to be a studio owner and go do this.
But to be fair, that's when I relax from modelling, because studio hire is completely different. Yeah, combination of all three, studio hire, modelling, and my own photography, makes a very nice mix of where I can stay creative and do what I love to do, but then I can relax from one another.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I'm modelling myself, it's quite intense prep, isn't it? And then you have to get your outfits together and do the makeup and do the hair and turn up. Okay. But then with photography, I'd say it's the opposite. You probably have the most work to do after. So sometimes it's nice if I come from a shoot where I've modelled and then I have edits to do, and I'll just sit down and do the edits, and I'm still being productive, and I love editing. So it's a nice combination altogether.
So we've covered remote as a model, as a studio owner. So as a photographer, if someone offered remotes, we'll use Natasha and Neon Dreams as an example, because obviously we've talked about it a few times now. Say a model was on there and you thought, I'm going to book onto that as a photographer. Would you find there's an appeal to that, doing remote as a photographer rather than being a model or studio owner?
So I've never done remote shoots as photography before, but I think it'd be a very good opportunity to do it with someone who, for example, couldn't get to Sheffield to work with me in person, or it's something that I really want to try that I've not done before, then absolutely yes. Yeah, I'd do that. Although I do really like the space of my own studio, and I know every centimetre of it, I think it'd be good to push myself to do something else. So yeah, I think I'd do that.
So what would you say to someone who hasn't tried remote shoots? So you've done a few. Would you recommend it, or would you say to somebody, test it out and see if you like it?
I would say, just tell me why. Why not? If you don't try it, you don't know. Yeah. I think it's just about every aspect in life. Like, you can't say no to try and, I don't know, new food have you not tried?
Exactly. Yeah.
You literally don't know if you're gonna like it or not.
Yeah.
Just go for it. But then if you tried it and you didn't like it, and you ask yourself why you didn't like it, I think the main reason of like the whole living is to enjoy yourself. That's going very deep now.
It's just another way of taking pictures, but I think, like you said before, there's the in-person aspect. You like to be there and you like to talk to the person rather than there's that barrier where that person's not there, they're on a computer screen, and it's a bit harder.
Yeah, but if you enjoy modeling and you can do it from comfort of your home and you know exactly what you're getting because you see it in front of your screen, it might be exactly your thing.
Yeah.
It's literally just everyone's different, and yeah, if you've not done it, try it, and if you love it, you'll do more of it.
Thanks, Xenia, for doing the podcast. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, wow. Thank you for asking that. Thanks for having me as well. And yeah, I'm on Instagram, and probably the easiest way to find all of my social media is just to go on my modeling one, which is Xenia model _ official, and Xenia spelled Xenia model _ official. And then from there, you'll see at the top of my profile, there's a studio page, Zavod Studio UK, and then there's my photography page, Zavod Photo. And that's all kind of linked together, probably easiest way to find it. And I've got a website, and I've got Purple Port, and I'm on Google as well.
You're everywhere,
Facebook, everything. I'm pretty sure if you just type Zavod Studio, it will come up.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea, so it's easy to find.
And like you say, it's like it's a unique title, so it's gonna be easy to find. So.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that people actually like it and talk about it. It's exciting that something like came together and it's working, and it's not just like me and my enjoyment. Other people seem to like it as well.
No, like I say, working with you, I got a sense it comes across when you're enjoying yourself, being silly or being professional. You can tell that it's like I've said before, when a model's not taking itself seriously, it means you relax, you're enjoying it, and that's when you're going to get the best results.
I'm a silly professional. That's who I am.
A silly professional. That's going to be your new tagline. I'm a silly professional. There you go.
Yep, that's me.
Okay.
I'll put that up somewhere.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
So how did you adapt to not having the photographer physically there, but on a computer screen in the studio with V? With V? All right, let's say that again.
Gosh, ask that again. I've lost you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a bit all over the place, wasn't it? So let's yeah, it was like a long-winded question, and I'm
Sorry.
I'm not surprised you went what. Thanks, Xenia, for doing the podcast. Where can people find both your modeling, photography? No, it's not both. It's 3 things, right? Come on. So thanks for doing. Let's try that again.
No, thanks.
No, there's thanks, but we're going to rephrase it.